In 1997, 135 million people all over the world bought a ticket to a movie that they knew the ending to before they walked into the theater. What movie would inspire people to do this? You're dead right. Titanic. They sat in a dark theater for 3 hours and 14 minutes knowing that ship was going down at some point, and they stayed. Why did they do that? Story. Usually when I do this program, this is what I get. Leo, that's why they stayed. No, that wasn't the only reason. The real reason was this man on the left, James Cameron, the writer and director. Cameron understood that a powerful story can grab people's attention, keep their interest, and spark their imagination. Now here's the beautiful part. Stories aren't just for movies today. They are for books, and they are for business. Business storytelling has become very popular in the last few years. So what you're going to learn today is how to rock your talk using stories. It is one of your best business assets. Specifically, what you'll learn is why stories are such an important and valuable asset to you. And second, you're going to learn the most powerful storytelling formula that you can employ later today with one of your stories. So let's talk about why stories work. Any ideas? Why do you think stories are so powerful?
More personal.
More personal.
Just the human touch.
Human touch. What else?
Relatable.
They're relatable. All good reasons. Story has a unique ability to tear down walls, build up trust, and create connection even between total strangers. Now, science will tell us, Bibi, could you go to the next slide, please? There, thank you. We are literally wired for storytelling. Research has uncovered so many secrets to the brain and how it reacts to story in the last 20 years. There is a hormone called oxytocin that when you hear a sensory-rich emotional story, literally floods into your system. Oxytocin is also known as the trust hormone or the bonding hormone. It opens you up to hear what other people have to say. Or when you're telling a story, other people are open to what you have to say. This is not something new in our history. Stories go all the way back to our ancient ancestors who, before they could read or write, were telling stories to teach their lessons of the day, their history, their wisdom, and to protect their culture. And it evolved over the centuries to writers like Shakespeare, and then to the modern day where we had business, political, and social leaders, in addition to movie makers like James Cameron. Now, I'm biased when I say this, okay, because of what I do for a living, but I believe that stories are your #1 business tool for this reason. Raise your hand if you don't have competitors with what you do. Jay, you're thinking about it because you do have a unique idea, but you will have competitors eventually, I promise. So here's what your competitors can say about you or their business that sometimes you can't beat or compete with. We've been voted best service. We've got more years of experience. We've been told we're one of the best places to work. I mean, the list is endless. The problem with these points, as far as competition points, is they're a little bit vague. Right? They're not concrete. They're not always measurable. But what is concrete is your stories. You have stories that nobody else can duplicate, and that's why it's your #1 business tool in the marketplace. Now, what you're about to hear is the most powerful storytelling formula. And what you're going to hear is a story, obviously, to help you understand it. There are 3 kinds of stories that you can tell. One is your customer story. You can also share your company story. Where did you start? How did you get to where you are today? And also if you have employees, your employee stories. How did your company make their lives better? But because we have a short amount of time today, we're going to talk just about the customer story, but this is the most powerful type there is. Now, to help you understand this, you're going to hear about Patty. When I met my client, Patty, we were both at a chamber holiday event back in 2009. Now, because I'm a dude, I was standing over by the food, right? That's what we do. And I was just taking in all the sights and sounds and smells and taste while I was grazing over at the side. And I was having a pretty good time. But while I'm standing there, I noticed this woman approaching me. And my first thought was, wow, she's doing okay for herself. She had on a tailored suit that looked like it was a Chanel. She had Jimmy Choo's and a jewelry that looked like they had come just out of a Tiffany box. I mean, she looked loaded. And I'm not talking alcohol here, okay? She was doing okay for herself. But as she approached me, the look on her face betrayed her appearance. She practically ran up to me and she said, I understand you're a speech coach. I said, yes, ma'am, I am. Can I help you? She said, oh, I hope so. Michael, my name's Patty, and I've done something really stupid. I agreed to give the keynote for the Women of Excellence dinner next year. I said, why is that a problem? She said, because ever since I said yes, it's making me sick to my stomach. I don't sleep at night. It's just with me all day. I can't even think straight. I said, wait a minute, Patty, I've heard about you. I said, you've done pretty well for yourself. I can't believe you're afraid to speak. She said, oh, I'm not afraid to speak. My problem is I don't know when to shut up. See, I did the same thing. I laughed. And she said, look, I'm not trying to be funny here, Michael. She said, every time I'm leading a board meeting and I start talking, I go on and on and on. I start rambling because I got so much I want to say in such a short amount of time, and people get mad at me. They don't even talk about me behind my back. They talk to me to my face. Right? They're really frustrated. And I said, well, I can understand why that would be a problem. And she said, look, this is a great opportunity for our foundation. She said, I could get us so much good publicity and raise money and donors, but I'm so worried that I'm going to embarrass us and cost us a lot. Can you help me? I said, Patty, I'm not sure. I think so, but we need to talk more. Let's talk afterwards. But tell me this, when is the speech? Oh, it's not till November. I said, November? Are you kidding me? You get to think about this for a whole year and you get more stressed out and more sick to your stomach and lose more sleep? That's just great, Patty. She said, oh, thanks. I hadn't thought of it that way. Right? Now jump ahead 11 months. I and 320 other people are standing up at the Marriott in Westchester in a big banquet room, and we are giving her a standing ovation. And it wasn't because she finally shut up. It was because she gave such a powerful speech that night. It was filled with stories that were so compelling that it elicited a lot of laughter and quite a few tears and donations. I had no idea until I walked up to her, found her after the speech, and she said, you're not going to believe what happened. 4 people just gave me checks right here for the foundation. I said, you're kidding. She said, no, and 6 other people volunteered their time. Can you believe this? And I thought, no, it's never happened before to my clients. And we talked for a little bit longer, and then before we parted ways, she took my hands in hers and she said, look, I want to thank you so much for the work we did together. She said, because I'm a believer now. She said, when we met, I was a wreck, but now I believe in stories. You were right, stories do sell. She said, Michael, I can't wait to do this again. Now I have a question for you. This is strictly hypothetical. But if you were in the market for a speaker coach or presentation skills coach, would you be willing to talk to somebody like me after hearing a story like that?
Yes.
Now, I'm not saying would you buy on the spot, but would you talk to me? Why would you do that? You don't know anything about me other than the story. You don't know my background, my fee structure, what I charge, who my other clients are, my product. You don't know any of that, but you're willing to talk to me based on that story. Why? You're allowed to talk back to me. It's okay. I know it's after lunch, but
I believe you.
believability, okay. What else?
You like the outcome?
Like the outcome. What else? Inspirational. Was it relatable? Okay. All those are good reasons. Now hold on to those reasons for just a moment. Let's turn the tables. Imagine for a moment that every person that you talk to out there to try to do business, to have them hire you to do business, imagine they had those same feelings about you every time you talk to them. What would that do for your business? It would probably get you a lot more activity. And as Amy has said, you can't get to the sale till you have those connecting conversations. And that's what we're trying to do. Sometimes when I give this presentation, people think I'm talking about telling stories to make the sale on the spot. That's not always it. Now, Melinda, with your product, yes, maybe because we got dogs, we want to give them treats. Heck yeah, mine's spoiled rotten. Those of you that I've talked to about dogs, yeah, you've got an instant sale almost. But most of us, it takes time to build a relationship. I often use the analogy of dating and storytelling, right? Or selling, I should say. You know, dating is a process, so is selling. You've got to build trust and connection that we've talked about before. So let's talk about this process, this most powerful storytelling formula. And you've got your handouts there, you can make notes. The most powerful storytelling formula is called then, now, and how. Then, now, and how. Now you have seen this formula before, you just didn't know it was called this. The best industry I've ever seen that has capitalized on this formula is the diet industry. You ever seen a picture like that? Guy on the left, clearly overweight and unhappy. On the right, he's lean, he's confident, he's feeling good about himself. Now, if you're a person who's trying to lose weight and you see that ad, what question comes to mind? How did he do it? I want that result. How did he do it? That's what this formula is designed to do. Now, as we go through this and you hear about how this works, I want you to start thinking about a customer or a client who you've worked with who before you met that person was in some kind of pain, struggle, distress. And today is not because of you, your product, or service. So have that person in mind. Maybe write it down, write that person's name down as we go along. So here's how the formula works. This is the then part. This is the before that person met you. Think about Patty's story. When I met her, what was her mental state? She was a wreck. Thank you, Kay, for summing it up that fast. Now, how do you know she was a wreck? What did she say? She said, I'm stressed out, I'm not sleeping, I'm sick to my stomach, all of these things. So when you craft a story, it's very important to use the words of your customer or client as close as you can remember them. And those are the words she used. Now, this was 9 years ago, and I still remember some of what she said. Since I brought that up, let me just throw this out really quickly. It is very important that when you tell stories, they have to be true. Okay? Do not make up stories, because audiences today are very smart. Consumers are very intelligent. They're going to figure out if you're lying. Now, here's the flip side of the coin. They don't have to be 100% factual. Here's what I mean. Do you think the conversation that I just replayed for you a couple of minutes ago is exactly how it went between Patty and me? No, it was 9 years ago. I'm 55. I can't remember what I ate yesterday, much less what was said 9 years ago. Now, here's what's important. It's not the truth of the words that were said. It's the emotional truth of the scene that's critical. And what was absolutely true that day is that Patty was sick to her stomach. She wasn't sleeping. She was totally stressed out. To use Kay's words, she was a wreck. That is absolutely true. And that's what you have to convey. You have to show that somebody was not doing well emotionally and it was costing them somehow in their lives. Now, here's the key to this part of the story formula for you. It has to be a relatable pain to the person you're talking to. So if I were to do this workshop for a group of cardiologists who are trying to figure out how to better put stents in the body, probably not my audience, right? So always think about your audience. Is this a relatable pain? That's the then part. The now part, where is the client today? Where was Patty emotionally at the end of the story? How was she feeling? Success. What else? Confident. Absolutely. That's one of the most important aspects of being a speaker. You got to have confidence, right? What happened to her physically? I mean, what was the result of people in the audience? What did they do? Standing ovation. By the way, standing ovations are way overrated. They're nice to have. They feed the ego, but what was the benefit? Money, right? She's there to attract money, and there's nothing wrong. And I know we had a speaker a couple of months ago who talked about it's okay to want money. It's okay to want business. That's what she got. She got people donating time. It was a huge benefit. Now, Kay and I have been friends for a long time, okay? In our world of speaking, Kay, does it get much better than what she experienced that night?
No, in many ways, it's exactly the same. It's that We have had a term, probably we've used for 20 years.
Yeah.
And it is a presentation high.
Yes.
That's what she experienced.
Yeah, she was.
That presentation high. In fact, she knew that she
High.
had connected with people that had reverberated with them that day, and that as a result,
she got all that result. Now, does it get worse for a speaker than where she was when the story started? Sick to your stomach, not sick? No. In this case, diametrically opposed. The more the contrast is in your story, the better the result. So find somebody who's at one extreme and then realize the other. Now, is this helping? Are these good ideas that you think you can take and use today? All right, before I forget, on your table there is a clipboard. If you'd like to go deeper to understand the subject of storytelling, I have a resource called 52 Storytelling Tips. It is a complimentary resource, no obligation on your part. What it is a 5-minute audio once a week, and the idea is to build one skill on top of another on a weekly basis. Slow growth, but after a year's time, you'll be at least 3 times more effective as a storyteller. And if you're 3 times more effective, what would it do to your business to have 3 times as many qualified prospects to talk to? Huge difference. If you'd like that, just sign up for it on the sheet. My only ask is that you write legibly. And here's why. My initials are MD, because I write like one. I know how bad it is to write something down and have people say, I can't read your writing. So yeah, just put your name and email address. It's my list only. Nobody else gets it. All right, let's get to the how part of the formula. This is the critical aspect. This is where a lot of storytellers drop the ball. How did Patty become a better speaker? What happened? Throw me your guesses. Assuming she did what? Okay, that's one. What else? What do you think she did? Practice. What else? She put in the time. She put in the money. She put in all the effort. Here's where most storytellers go right. You're absolutely right, David. She did hire me. There are 3 reasons you know she did. Because did I ever come out and say she hired me? Never did. So then how did you know? Well, assumed. Now, 3 ways. The story's structured that way. Okay, number 1, and this is something very subtle. When I started the story, I said, when I met my client, Patty. Okay? Now, here's the thing. You had no context for the story that was about to come, so that phrase meant nothing to you. It went right over here and into your subconscious. Your subconscious picked up on it, though. At the end of the story, what did she say? She thanked me. All right, this leads to point number 3. I've been in eWomen for several months now. I've discovered something. You're all very smart people. Okay? You figured it out. I did not need to spoon feed you the information that, yes, she hired me. Because I see so many speakers do this when they're selling a product or service. They get to the front of the room and they start talking about what they brought to the table, how they solved the problem, and it becomes all about them. This is a critical storytelling fact. If you want your story to stick, it should always be about your client or customer. That person is the hero of the story. Great American philosopher and education, I don't even know what term you would call him. He studied the history of story, Joseph Campbell. And he talked about the fact that heroes are, everybody has a hero's journey, and that person is flawed, but they don't have all the answers. So be the guru in the story, the person who provides the wisdom and the information. So that is a quick overview of the then, now, and how. And here's the key to storytelling, and then we'll wrap it up. You have to show transformation. A story works because there's some kind of transformation, a change in the character. They were in some kind of pain, today they're not. They were struggling, today they're succeeding. The assumption is that you were the person who provided the solution, the product, service, or idea, and that leads to more ongoing conversation. I'll leave you with this. If you want to make a difference in the marketplace, you have an asset that nobody else can duplicate. Craft your stories. Run them through this formula, and I promise you, every time you tell your stories, you will stand out from the crowd. As always, eWomen is a wonderful audience. I appreciate your attention and all the good comments I got earlier today. Thank you so much. I'll be here if you want to talk. Thanks, Amy.